Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and your money. Today, we are talking about Jason Derulo, who says one accusation cost him millions of dollars and made him vow to never work with women again. Now, his comments opened up a huge conversation about allegations, reputations, cancel culture, and how quickly public opinion can destroy opportunities. So today we ask, where is the line between protecting women and protecting men from false accusations? And when money and power are involved, who actually pays the biggest price? We are unpacking accountability, gender dynamics, and the cost of losing your name in the court of public opinion. And we all know that that is a very real thing. And we are seeing it every single day. Someone is getting canceled for something. Today, I have my sister queens with me. We have Marlo Layson, TV and film producer. We have Tiara Williams, our producer and actress, also beautiful vocalist. And you have little old me, Laura Lala Key, singing international real estate agent. Ladies, it's been a beautiful weekend for me. I hope yours was gorgeous too. But I have got to get into this. I think we're really going to have a lot of good conversation around this. Tiara, what was your first reaction to Jason saying one accusation actually cost him millions?
Yeah, I think we're seeing it all the time. I mean, as somebody that works in Hollywood, I could understand what he means in terms of just legality, the legal system, getting lawyers, defending your name is a very expensive game. And I think once an accusation is made, you pretty much can lose your whole wealth trying to get it back.
I agree. And it's something that's rampant in Hollywood, but this is not a new game. Like, let's really get real. Ever since Hollywood has been around, you've always heard about the casting couch and, women having to do certain things to even get a leg up. But that doesn't mean that also you can't flip the coin and say that it's been used against them too. Marlo, what was your first reaction when you heard that his accusation cost him millions?
Oh, and no surprise. I mean, not just in lawyer fees, like Tiara said, but also brand deals, right? If your name is hanging around with some type of criminal accusation, especially, nobody is going to be trying to invest millions of dollars in you in terms of you being a brand partner or even a brand ambassador. So it was no surprise.
Yeah, you hear it every day. I actually had a really good friend who was being a mentor to a young lady, and she wanted much more from him. And when he rebuffed her, she accused him of things that did not happen, and it took him years, and actually lost his clout in the community. He was also in the church. They took him off the deacon board and everything else. And then when it all came out to the truth, they reinstalled it back to him, but the damage had been done and you can't take that back, which I feel like is a really serious problem for us. But I'd love to hear what our family has to say out there. Come on, get those comments going. This one's going to be a deep one today, right? DJ says in 2026 until infinity, I think I concur. All it takes is just one accusation. That's it. Dr. Vibe says, Queens, how much of a role does social media do with this topic? Now, I'm going to actually throw that before we watch the video. I think this is a really good question. because he kind of responds with social media. But Marlo, this is your ball court. You're dealing with, journalism and everything today. How much does social media have to do with this topic?
Listen, because I'm in the newsroom when stuff like this happens, it is instantly. Obviously, you want to get the story out there, but right? As a person that uses social media, that this is going to draw clicks. And any news organization in 2025, 2026 is looking to draw clicks. So you definitely are going to draw later on. As we get into the discussion, I'll explain more a little bit about media responsibility, something that Jason brings up, but I want us to play the video first. But it definitely gets everybody excited. Depending on what time of the year the story comes out, it may be a slow time of year. And so that this is going to generate traffic. And if you're in the for-profit arm of news, not nonprofit news, y'all do a great thing, but the for-profit sharks like me, we know that this is going to draw clicks, it's going to draw attention. The best of us try to do it with factual information only and not to be clickbaitish about it. But once it spreads and once it goes viral, you really have no control over it.
Agree. And it's interesting that you say that, because this just yesterday, I posted something on my page about how, I would love to be monetized on Facebook, right? And I don't post bait and I don't post drama like that. And there are people who are actually teaching courses that are telling you these things to post, which is bait, or something that will make people angry or something. To me, that's not what this whole platform is for. That's just not my thing. But if that's what people are being taught, it's only going to snowball more and more and more, just for that engagement, so people can get that paycheck of those clicks. I really want to check out this video, guys. I'd lay back, listen to what he has to say, and let's get back into this conversation. Here's the video.
Well, I was going to let's start with just the breakdown of what happened. Let's do that first before we talk about Jason.
There's been some wild headlines come out about Jason Derulo lately, and he's finally speaking out.
There's a lawsuit not too long ago by an artist that was hired to your label that was dismissed.
Twice.
What did you learn going through that?
Never work with women.
So here's what's happening. In 2023, a singer named Amaza Gibson is suing Jason Derulo, saying that after she signed with his record company, he started making sexual demands from her. Jason was not only her mentor, but he was also her producer. And according to the lawsuit, he allegedly told her that if she wanted to be successful, she had to take part in a certain ritual. She claims that after she refused, her communication with him was cut off. He stopped supporting her, and eventually she was dropped from the label. Now, Jason has come out in defense of himself.
That case was dismissed twice in two different states.
According to the contract that Gibson signed, if there was any dispute, it had to be handled in New York. So since she filed in California and then Nevada, that's why it was thrown out. Jason is very much maintaining his innocence and saying that he will never work with women again.
It's a sad truth. I will never be alone in a room with a woman that I work with, ever.
He claims he has lost millions of dollars, brand deals, and this has just really taken an overall toll on his career. Gibson has refiled this lawsuit in New York in September of 2025. This case is still pending.
Got you. Okay.
It's definitely still pending. I also kind of looked up some things too, because I'm not very familiar with him. But his accuser has come out and also said it's not over yet. So, it's all a ball of wax, but the wax is already out there hot and steaming, right? The fact that at least he's coming out after this and saying that he's lost millions. You don't hear very many people actually come out after the fact and say what really happened to them. Because honestly, I feel like the public doesn't care what happens to you after this. They literally just want the drama of it. Do you think that I'm completely wrong on that, Tiara? What are your thoughts on that?
No, as a matter of fact, I think that the more salacious and the more when I went down the rabbit hole, there was comments, people saying, "Oh, I believe her, I believe him, I believe," I think that's where people, immediately think about it. Immediately when we watch a video or we see a meme or something, we go immediately to the comments. What does everybody else think? What is their opinion? I don't even think fact matters anymore. You know, a long time ago, I studied journalism and facts were, it mattered. Now it doesn't matter. People aren't interested in the facts. They're more intrigued with the opinion. And so they can be fed what to think, right? And then go and make their own videos about what they think. So I don't even think it's about that anymore. And even him coming out and saying, listen, this has been dismissed twice, and I know there's technicalities around that. That noise isn't as loud as he raped, raped, assaulted, whatever he assaulted me, right? That's not, that is not as loud, and people won't feed off that as much as they feed off the initial, like, I knew he was doing it, and this is just Hollywood and Illuminati this and that. Like, people love that. Love it.
They
Love it.
love that
They
smoke. They
love
love
that.
all the magical unicorn powers. But listen, it used to be, now I may be showing my little 55 young today, but it used to be that, you would only get that kind of stuff in what we call trash magazines like the National Enquirer or the Star. Those stayed in business a long time, but also you were having headlines across the top that also had monkey boy. So you can take everything with a grain of salt. But I have to ask you, Marlo, once these stories gets out, the clicks, the anger, the ooh, what's happening, the rubbernecking, how much responsibility does the media have to follow up with these stories and tell the truth?
Sadly, the only responsibility is of the individual journalist. There are no real consequences if you are just laying the facts bare of the story. There's no requirement for you to follow up and close the book on a case and say, oh, it was dismissed and this is why. It really is a dirty game when it comes to like criminal activity and people being indicted for different things, because there is no onus on the media to keep it going, and the media follows the clicks, right? So if the first day Jason Derulo is hot, if the fifth day that we've written about him he's not hot, by the seventh day something comes out, it may not get reported at all, right? Because it is, we're in a squirrel society. Today is Jason Derulo, tomorrow is Diddy, the next day is this person. For a little while, somebody had some smoke for Russell Wilson about a 10-year-old Thanksgiving dinner, right? And people were all consumed with that until something new happened. So it just is the nature of this 24-hour news cycle. We went from 24-hour cable news to 24-hour news on our phones, and it is showing in closure, right? So while the victim wants closure, they want it to be done. We've already moved on, right? Had 50 Cent not dropped this Diddy documentary, nobody be talking about Diddy right now. People would be going on talking about something else. The documentary is making that hot, it's making it conversational until January when something else is hot and something else is ripe for conversation. And that's just where we are with media, but it is on individual journalists. And I'll say for me personally, if I write that there was a criminal action that happened, I am constantly looking for closure in that case. Whatever the resolution is, the person wasn't indicted. Oh, they were indicted. Oh, they went to court, but they were found not guilty. Oh, they about to serve 363 years. Whatever the case may be, me personally, I follow up, but I can't say that that's true for everybody. Some newsrooms will argue that you don't even need to follow up.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And see, I'm like you, Marlo, though. I got to follow through. I need to know what happens after the fact, because there's always more to the story. Maybe that's my little old humanity's got to be justified thing inside of me. Little Pisces swim, but I really hate that these things get thrown out there. There's also, to me, there's always something underlying and swirling with some retribution sometimes. Like, this whole 50 Cent thing right now, sometimes I sit back and I think, baby boy, the karma you put out, my love, shall soon come to knock on your door, because this don't feel right. It just doesn't feel right at all to me. So, I'd like to see what the backstories are, definitely. But we're going to take a quick break. I want to hear you guys' comments. You guys are talking good in the comments. When we get back, we'll hit some of those. We're going to take this break and we'll be right back.
Ooh, I want to talk about 50 Cent so bad.
I
All right,
know.
here we go, because I got some thoughts. It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
You know where to go. It's the end of the year, y'all. We're telling you, we've had shows to be able to get your leg up on what's happening in the world, to help put a little more coins in your pocket. Flynubianmoney.com is where you need to go and see and pick whatever floats your boat, because there's many of things there that could light your fire and help you to earn a little bit more money. And I know we haven't really been pushing that a whole lot lately, but I want to push it for you today because I want you to be well. I want you to thrive. And we all do. That's what this network is all about. So please do not forget about going to that website. You may be sitting there right now thinking, God, what am I going to do by next month? Why don't you go see what you could do by going on over to the website? Tiara, I do want to ask you this, because I can kind of understand his point very clearly when he's saying that, he doesn't really want to work with women by themselves anymore. So should men publicly say that they won't work with women because of fear? Because now you're getting into a whole nother can of worms where people say, well, now he's just being biased and sexist. What is he to do with this?
Well, I think it's important. I think men should have been doing this, and not to put his business out there, but there's a lot of prominent men that I've worked with that from the gate, when I'm working or having a meeting with Morris Chestnut, there's an assistant in the room. Like, he don't play those games. Dr. Boyce, a lot of times, like, he will use me as a buffer between myself and another person, because the real situation is this, y'all. Women target men with resources, right? It's a real thing, especially, like I said, for me, I think that a lot of what I've observed is that women come out here to Hollywood, and I'll just use my personal experience. They come out here to be actresses, singers, artists. They are trained actresses to cry on cue. They are very believable. And I'm not saying all of them do it, but they can drudge up tears and give you a monologue, the Oscar-worthy monologue. You'd be like, damn. And you find out it was all fake. Or you're at least like, why would a woman do that? Why would she make it up? Because she wants money. That's why, and I think, not to be a woman's advocate, or a man's advocate, but I do think it unfortunately, there is none, right? We automatically believe what the woman says. And I don't think that's always the right thing to do. I don't know, because women are a bit convincing. They can we don't know the real from the fake. Like, there are women who have absolutely been harmed, and I am sending my love and light to those women. But there are women that be like, oh, I was in a room with him before too. I'm about to sue. It just happened. So I think it's important. I think it makes sense for a man, especially if you have resources, not to be in a room with a woman one-on-one by yourself. I think that's smart. I think that's good business.
I think that's good business practice. I mean, actually, I was taught that growing up. My mother was always like, you be very careful with who you're in the room with, and you sometimes you may have to have someone in there with you because you need to be in a safe situation. And I will be the first to tell you guys here, and this is not something that I talk about publicly, but I am going to share it. There was one time I was in a room with someone I absolutely trusted, spiritual person,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual person growing up in the church, and that person completely put out lies, so much so that he wanted me out of the church. And because he had the authority to do that and there was no one else in the room, I didn't have a choice but to bow down to what they wanted me to do. So, I learned from that lesson that I would never do that again. But with all that being said, Marlo, what does this mean for women who are trying to really break into what we sometimes see as a male dominated industry?
Yeah.
It means you need to be prepared to protect yourself as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same way that the man, it is in good faith for him to have a third party in the room and to not be alone with that woman. It's the same for her, right? If the room is full, once y'all start working, once you see people filtering out, that's your cue to make your way out, right? I think sometimes people want to be nice. Sometimes you don't want to be seen as, you're not hardworking or you're not this or you're not that. But sometimes you have to be about your business, and being about your business is not putting yourself in a situation that could stunt your business, right? Because if you get in a situation with him, and he also, in some situations, he may feel like, oh, she saw everybody leaving and she ain't leave, so she's with the move, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's all of this unspoken stuff that's going on, especially when you're in a creative situation. We
Mm-hmm.
here, we creating, we got juices flowing. Hell, maybe we writing about love. Maybe we writing about passion and sex, right? Maybe that's what the vibe is in the room. Well, it's incumbent on everybody, if you're not trying to vibe on the sex that you creating the vibe of in the room, that you just excuse yourself. Hey, if we're done, I'm gonna cut out. Hey, actually, I'm about to go get something to eat since it looked like everybody dipped. When should we get back together? Right? You have to be willing to advocate for yourself. And the first part of self advocacy is self protection. If you're never in the room alone with him, then it never leaves space for there to be a he said, she said. And that's just it. I have a thing whenever I'm called into an office of a prominent man that I work with, I don't close the door. There's no reason for us to close the door, especially if I don't directly report to you and maybe you my supervisor. There's no reason for you and I to have a closed door conversation, right? And then if the door needs to be closed, I'm going to make sure that I make my spatial awareness known, right? Ain't no reason for you to be up on me. If you moving in, I'm moving back. Like, we have to be in control of at least our body autonomy in these types of situations. Because if somebody moving in closer and you standing there, it looks like you want to be touched. It looks like maybe you're open to be kissed. But if you making it so that I'm backing up, fool, then now he has to assert himself in another way. And I think everybody needs to be pro self-protection. Man, female, trans, gay, I don't care how you get down. Protect yourself so that you don't have to find yourself reliving these conversations with lawyers and prosecutors and social media and all of these other places. If you've been harmed, why harm yourself 7 times having to constantly retell the story?
Oh my God, dude. I tap into that. Go right ahead. I know you got something else to say on this too, Tierra. What are your thoughts on that?
I also want to piggyback off what Marlo said. I think something that's really important is don't be so desperate for whatever the
Mm.
thing is. I know in Hollywood, there's a lot of desperate women that are, and men, and that are on people's couches, and they're in these situations. I can't help but to think of the Diddy documentary because it's so fresh in my mind. But a lot of those people wouldn't have been in those situations if they just had a little bread coming through. You're gonna look at life a little different when you got a little money. You could be like, I'm just not gonna let you talk to me like this. I'm not going to let you pee on me. I'm just not going to let you do it. But I understand that people can also groom. And they do. Powerful men do. They start to say certain things like, I bet you don't even, you ain't no freak or whatever. I mean, I've heard all of it. I've heard all of it. I've booked a movie and then 15 minutes later, the director called me like, now that we got that out of the way, what's up? Or I've been in an I've been I was part. I'm not saying I was part of the Me Too, but Me Too, right? In the sense where I went into a very prestigious agent. I was 25 years old. He had, I mean, there's greats on his wall. He flew my mama out and was like, this is my new star right here, Tierra Williams, right here. And we went through the whole process, put me in in commercial classes and acting classes, and we were going to meet celebrities and going to all types of things. Like I was like, wow, this is really about to happen for me. And then one night, he invited me to dinner in the office, and when I got there, there was candles lit, and he was like, I figure we just have food here. I was like, okay, okay, like, okay, And there was like he had like laid out like a little palette and there was food and candles. And I was like, so what's up? Like, again, 25, really wanting the opportunity, really wanting to be the next whoever, right? Wanting to get a movie, like there was movie roles being thrown over my head, auditions being thrown in my lap, all kind of things. And it came down to him saying like, there was this 60-year-old, 68-year-old man saying, just suck my penis and be my girlfriend. I don't even know what I said to get out of the room, but I was like, oh,
That
my
part.
period, and oh, my period, and oh, blah, 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 right? And if I would have, the thing is, like, I know a lot of women would have done it, and because women suck penis every day, right? It happens every day. But I just think that if I would have said yes to that, then I would have said yes to something else. And then I would have said yes to something else. And slowly, the person that I am would have started to like just compromise everything about myself. And before I know it, I'm a version of Cassie. I'm a version of these women's with like a shell of themselves. And so I don't mean to, I know y'all, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so vulgar. I think this is the first time I publicly said what happened to me, but here's the thing. Had there been another person in the room, that would have never went down. Had it been, I just happened, he didn't grate me, right? He wasn't like forceful. He would just ask me, and I was able to say no. I don't know how many, and I never called him again. And then I saw him in an award show, and he was sitting next to a really great actress that I know and love, one of the greats. And he was like, "Do you know Tierra?" No, 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 no. I was like, "Hey, girl,"
Yeah.
but it's like he's like, "You got to come into the office." It's like he doesn't even remember, or does he not remember, or
Just another
what
face.
was that? Right? Just what I mean. And I played it like it never happened, and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come into the office." Like I don't know. So anyway, he ended up being caught in that Me Too movement. I saw it. And so all of that. But anyway, y'all. So that's what happened. So I'm just saying that to say that I think as being here, I think that at that moment I was desperate, but I feel like there was something in me that was like, I'm not that desperate. But there's women that are. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to share that.
No, I think that is so important to share because honestly, T, when you think about it, he's like up. He the next thing he's like, "Hey, how you, baby? You were just another sea, a face in the sea that
Mm-hmm.
you just said no. So guess what? We're gonna move on to the one that says yes. What
Mm-hmm.
makes you still wonder? I know that you wondered. I know that you wondered when you saw him with that actress. If you thought to yourself, did
Did
she
she
have to
do
go
it?
through that as well? Right?
It's a
But
big actress.
listen, hey, you hear it all the time. I said the casting couch is real. Now,
Yes.
Real Black Lexicon did say something that I think is extremely interesting, and I would love to hear your take, Marlo. He says clever attorneys will settle to protect their reputation. But once something has been put out there like that, once something has been accused of, is that really protecting the reputation? Because you no longer hear the backstory.
Well, I mean, he's not here with us anymore, but that's what Michael Jackson said. Like, and Johnny Cochran has said this too before he died, that the best thing during the first case was for Michael to settle. Michael was the biggest, the largest, the everything at that time. And Johnny Cochran was like, listen, it doesn't make sense to subject your life to this scrutiny. It is much easier for you to just write the check and make it go away because you can't afford to. And he went on to say in interviews that he wishes he had fought the first time because the second case wouldn't have popped up. So it's one of those things, but reputational harm is done. Right now, everything that's odd about Michael Jackson is odd because he's a pedophile. Everything about Michael Jackson that's different is different because he's a pedophile, right? That accusation, he could never outrun it. And whether it's true or not, I don't know. I know what he says, right? I know that there's proof that the first kid's stepfather was trying to extort Michael for money. And there is proof that the mother in the second case has shaken down celebrities for money. So there is a common thread there in both cases. That doesn't mean that he didn't do something else, but there's kids of celebrities who used to be at the house all the time and they never had these complaints. So I don't know where it lies. I know that his legacy is forever tarnished, though, because he paid the undisclosed amount under the advice of his attorneys, because that's why we have attorneys. Other than that, we'd be fighting cases ourselves every day that pop up. And we
But if the first one lied,
to be experts.
If the first one lied, does that mean everybody after? I mean, my assumption is that everybody after that is lying. Like, so everybody lied, right? If you say that, and supposedly the stepfather or the kid killed himself or unalived himself because of dealing with the haunt of that in the Michael Jackson case, like that first kid.
And the kid went away, and we've never seen him since. He's never popped up and said, hey, I'm the kid from the first case. He's gone and quietly lived his life and hopes, I'm sure we never find him, because who wants to invite that circus into their lives? But I think that it is, we look at it, the general public, we are problematic as well, right? The lawyers want the attention for the case because it puts the case out in the public. The public just wants the circus. So the bigger the circus, the more we watching it, right? We tuning in every day. What were they wearing? What were they doing? What were they saying? And it all gets away from the legality of it all. Like, what does the law say about these cases? And that's what we should care about. And we don't care, sadly, until it's us. Now, when it's your nephew that's being accused of these kind of allegations, now you want everybody to stop. You want cooler heads to prevail. You want people to think about it. You want people to consider his character and what he's done for the community. We don't always give that grace to other people. So I will tell you one thing about being in news has taught me, let it play out in court. These rights are for all of us. And when they get trampled on, and you okay with them getting trampled on for Susie, don't be mad when they get trampled on for you, because it applies to everybody. But the media, the settlements, the lawyers, it all just creates a bigger circus. And where is the truth, right? That's what we should always be looking for. Where is the truth?
Well, it's interesting because I noticed this weekend, and I had a conversation with my husband. Someone famous died, and underneath it was a big case surrounding them. And instead of just saying this person, and they did not, it was proven that it wasn't done. But how they announced it was such and such and such and such died, musical artist who was accused of rape in 1992 died today. And I'm thinking, it follows you to the grave, and you didn't even say that it was proven that it didn't happen. That's how they announced this artist's death. Yeah. There is something wrong. There's something majorly broken with the whole system. We know that. The only thing that we can do is to learn to take the steps, like we discussed earlier, to protect ourselves. And hopefully the things that we're sharing today will also help you think. Because sometimes you just walk into places like oh, yeah, I'm going to have a meeting with such and such today. And you're not thinking that way. But now we have to step back and really look at ourselves and say, wait a minute, hold up. Where we going? What we doing? Who going to be there? We have to start thinking that way in order to protect ourselves as well. We're going to take another commercial break. Man, this is some good conversation. Keep the comments rolling. We'll be right back.
Well, wait a minute. Did we take this? Did we take a commercial break twice?
No, just once.
We only took one commercial break this whole show?
Did we?
Did we take two?
We took
We took two, y'all.
no. We did? Okay. Well, well now what we doing? Gonna do a video?
Let's look at, you know what? Let's go to his apology, and then we'll his apology that came out. And
Okay, I'd
let's go
love to
back
hear
Jason.
that.
All right.
I wouldn't normally comment, but these claims are completely false and hurtful. I stand against all forms of harassment, and I remain supportive of anybody following their dreams. I've always strived to live my life in a positively impactful way, and that's why I sit here before you deeply offended by these defamatory claims. God bless.
And that didn't help.
It's hard.
Really.
It's hard
It
for
didn't
me.
help.
I don't that like and see now here you are in the court of public opinion. Someone may look at that and go, oh, he's being very genuine. And for me, personally, just Lala's view, that just didn't feel good to me. And I know that you have to be very careful about what you say, but the delivery is important too. All right, Tira, you could go and take
it's
that.
just so hard for you. Just imagine if somebody was saying that you hurt somebody else and you got PR people or your manager or all these people standing in your face going, just be as natural as you can, be genuine, be all of the things, talk slowly, but talk like you would normally talk. And you're like, okay, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Like everything is gonna feel like this is fake. This is not real. You know what I'm saying?
The other part of that is I don't know Jason Derulo, right? I feel like he always performing and acting whenever I see him. That's part of why he's like he's on my annoying celebrities list. I feel like he always doing something that's performative. So I can't even say it's authentic or inauthentic because I don't know. And that's the truth about celebrities is a lot of times we see them and they are on. When these rumors about Diddy were circulating years ago, nobody believed that P. Diddy, Puff Daddy was dangling people and punching people in the eye and doing all of that other stuff until we saw what he did to Cassie. And then we were like, oh, he capable of doing anything. The stories about him have been swirling, but because of his persona, because he always do a little Harlem shake, little jiggle, jiggle, wiggle, we feel like that's not the same dude that's gonna strong arm somebody into or out of a contract. But now we know maybe he's doing that Diddy bop right before he Diddy bop people, right? So I think part of it with celebrities is we don't know who these people are. We don't know their true, authentic personalities because they start making money with a persona. And so when it's time for them to step outside of that persona, of course we're gonna say it's inauthentic because we don't know the authentic them. So I hate to be defending him because I don't like him for some reason, but
it's hard.
I don't know that man. Maybe he was being genuine, but he also, like Tiara said, he got 3 lawyers, a manager, a PR person, a PR assistant, the camera operator, the audio person, and a script. And he ain't no actor. So it's all unnatural. The whole scene is unnatural. And he got to leave there and go do something else in 25 minutes.
And you got to say and you got to emote and give emotion that you like, I didn't do nothing. This is simple. Okay. All right. I'm so sorry. You gotta, I don't know. But I will say this. Can I just, while we talk about, since we've been talking about Diddy or throwing that documentary around, I don't know if you all have seen it. I've been trying to wait to talk about, you've seen some of it. So I got to watch all of it. And what was so interesting about the Diddy documentary, y'all, is I still went through, I experienced every emotion. Like I felt inspired. I felt empathy. I felt disgust. I felt disdain. I felt like even when he was out interacting with the public and people, I still found myself being like, like smiling at him interacting with others, right? So like, I don't know. I also grew up with like, no judgment before I say this. No judgment. I'm talking y'all. I'm talking to the chat. I used to have Puffy on my wall. I didn't have Usher. I loved the businessman, I think. I didn't think he was like fine or nothing, but I just think all of the I just respected what he did. So to me, it was like I just kind of like liked that. Like again, I didn't think he was fine, but I used to be like, "Ooh, Puffy." You know what I mean? I don't know why. But me having that kind of adoration for him and watching that, it was just really hard. Like I felt all of the things. And so, I don't know. I don't know. How did you respond, Marlo? I know you saw it.
I haven't, I told myself I wasn't gonna watch it. And y'all just everybody keep trying to bring me
As
to the
a
dark
storyteller,
side.
I think you should. As it like the way it was produced, I said I wasn't gonna watch it, but it was produced really well. I
I'm
think you would
hearing
enjoy
that,
it as
and
a
the
producer.
people that I trust are saying it. It's a lot of people that I trust that are saying it, and you're the first person that told me about the emotional roller coaster that is. So I might take the rest of my Monday and watch it.
I think you should. And we can have a conversation about it. We learn about him as a kid, like his daddy, his mama, his all the things like that would push him into he didn't do drugs, he didn't do drugs, he didn't do drugs, he didn't do drugs, he didn't drink or none of that. And then he went and lived with Andre Harrell. And then I think his life changed. Lala, take over the show. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
I
to.
no, because I no, because I'm only too deep in. I'm too in
Mm-hmm.
of that story. But they did mention, and I want y'all to also think about this, like when he left Howard, your question is, why did he leave? And I will leave it at that. So Marlo, do you think that men in entertainment are more afraid of the accusation than the act itself?
I don't think they think about it. I think the majority of men do not think about it, and I think that the men who do think about it, you see it in the photographs that they take. See how we show that picture of Jason Derulo and the girl, and they were all chest to back, and they were all in close proximity. The men that are not taking photos like that are the men who I think are thinking about it. And the
Mm-hmm.
men who are not thinking about it, which are the vast majority, are the men you catch with their hands on random women's hips. They're the men who the women are standing body heat close to them in these photographs. They're the ones that are getting kissed and they giving kisses in pictures. And I think that all of that, I don't know how we've gotten so deep in the Me Too movement and we haven't let this behavior go, right? This to me is the worst behavior. Casually acting like you are so cool with people that you've known a hot 17 and a half minutes, right? Because all we know is that one frame. We don't know what happened before the picture was taken, what happened after the picture was taken. We just know we saw the pictures, right? Like now, all the Epstein stuff. We see Donald Trump in a million pictures with Jeffrey Epstein. We see the pictures. We don't know what's happened before or after. All we can do is assume. And I think that that is a thing that men have to stop. I've interviewed a lot of professional athletes, and I will say some of them do a very good job of just being professional. But I learned early in my career that the way that I dressed when I went to those interviews dictated how that interview would go.
Hmm.
If you go in there and you looking like a sex pot, you not gonna come away with the greatest interview if you're dealing with a man who doesn't have that stuff in control. But if you go in there and you look like you know what you're talking about and you are dressed like you come into work, you're gonna get a totally different outcome. And I think that all of that stuff matters. I
I don't
think
know.
that
I'm like, they might still pull up on you and try to
they
take
might
the
still
money.
now listen. They gonna still try to get a little, especially if they gotta see you 3 times in one day. They still gonna try to do a little holler, but at least you are giving them information in the beginning that say, "I'm here to ask you some questions, sir. Have a seat in this chair and let the lighting make you look handsome."
Gotta take control, gotta take control. But it doesn't matter because sometimes, y'all, let's face it, even like I can go out and my hair all over my head, wind blowing, and I'm looking like buckwheat on a bad day, and no makeup on. I'm gonna always have somebody go, "Hey, pretty lady," and I'm like, "Hmm, what you talking to me?" It's just the way that it is. But
Yeah,
we got another video, so we're gonna check this out and get back into this conversation.
we are. Yes, we are. Okay, here
Lawsuit
we go.
not too long ago by an artist that was like hired to your label that was dismissed.
Twice.
What did you learn going through that?
Never work with women.
Oh, come on.
There's truth in every joke. But it's a sad truth. Like, I will never be alone in a room with a woman that I work with, like ever again.
What?
It's too risky. That case was dismissed twice in two different states. And there's hardly no mention of it online. When that case was brought up, it was on every single blog, every single front page. And I lost so many brand deals, relationships off of a story that was not even slightly believable. She said I sacrificed a goat in a sexual ritual. All people read was the headline, right? And that's all it takes to lose everything. That's a crazy concept.
It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy. And I'm not really a big fan of Jason Derulo as far as how he goes about doing business as far as the content side. There's been a lot of conversations about him taking people's content and remix. It's a whole thing with that. That's completely separate from his perspective on his experience on working with women. And this is exactly what men talk about as far as their fears. Men are fearful, especially if you have resources, because you then become a target. And nobody is going to post the response or the vindication and give that as much publicity as the accusation, because it's much more popular and it's much more clickbaity for it to go that other way. And he wasn't joking. He was telling the absolute truth, and that he was saying that he will never work with women in a capacity in which he would have to privately interact with them because he does not want to be accused of something that he didn't do. And I don't blame him, not even a little bit, not even an ounce, a teeny, a smidget amount, because there's too many guys that have been accused, even vindicated, and they did not get the same visibility or headlines. And I wasn't even really familiar with this like this until he just brought it up and this question was asked by Graham. But he's right, and I don't blame him at all.
So listen, the Real Black Lexicon says the problem with accusations is it turns into a witch hunt on you, and this also leads into the next thing, that how it turns into a witch hunt is cancel culture. So is cancel culture too quick to punish before the investigating is done? I want to actually hear from both of you on that. I'm gonna start with you, Tiara.
Yeah, especially if you feel a certain way about a certain celebrity, baby. When that thing came up, a girl came out of the made up that whole thing about Jay-Z and all of them, like, oh, he took me at a party, and it was the, I mean, there was so many details. We were at this kind of band, that was the band. We were backstage, Puff was there, this happened. I mean, crazy. My dad dropped me off, right? Dad was like, I don't remember dropping her off. The band was like, we weren't even in New York at that time. I mean, but it didn't matter, because what did people say? I knew it. It's about, the kings are about to fall and crumble, and we should cancel them. And Beyonce is a part of it. I mean, people went crazy because there's a part of us that, if something seems too untouchable or too pristine or too perfect. We want to knock it down and make it like normal. See, I told you they're not perfect. And they don't, and I don't think they give perfect, but they just don't tell you nothing. And I think that bothers people too. So they want to cancel Jay-Z and them so bad, but I'm using that as an example, but I think people do that. You see a person, you like, I knew she wasn't, if it's you, Lala, I'd be like, I know, let something happen. Let's say, just because of how much you talk about your marriage, Lord knows I'm not putting it on your marriage. I'm gonna just use this example. Let something happen in your marriage and you come on and you say, well, me and Will are gonna break up. There's gonna be people that be like, see, and she sat for years and talked on that podcast about how she loved her husband. Her husband was just the same as everybody else. People will do it. And
Yeah.
because they just, you know what I'm saying? They miserable
Yeah.
as, so those are my thoughts on cancel culture. People are weird.
My grandmother used to say it itches people's britches, and that's the
Mm.
truth. Like they love to see, it's something about people who love to see other people fail or
Mm-hmm.
falter or not be that perfect person that they feel like they're out there trying to be. I never remember growing up, I always heard the thing, oh, she thinks she cute, and that is the
Mm-hmm.
farthest thing from my mind. And it's like, where do people come up with this? But what is your
You
thoughts on this,
should think you
Marlo?
cute. You should think you're
You are
cute.
cute.
You are
So
cute.
Thank you. But
I'm
you should
that
say,
was
saying.
not the context that it was put out. Like, I was above others or no,
thank you too
That's
no.
what they
much.
thought. They
Yeah.
felt like you was. They felt like you was above them.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You
But
know,
that is a part of human nature to me. I don't know very many people that don't do that. And I always try to make sure I check myself before I start talking about other things too. Because Lala, you sometimes mind your business, mind your business. That's none of your business. But what do you think about that, Marlo? I mean, there's so many cancel culture things so quick before
I,
there is the full truth.
I just said it in my previous comment about letting things play out in court, but we don't trust anything, right? So we feel like it's our place to cancel them. And listen, you can't cancel nobody that has a real fan base. Like, you don't have the power to do it. They will figure out a way to connect with their fans. And I also think the fact that all we need now in this day and age is an allegation, right?
Mm.
I can say I have never been in the same space with Lala except virtually. I could get on the internet and make up a lie, right? And that lie is gonna travel so fast. By the time Lala gets to say her piece, she got people she went to elementary school with. Now they chiming in. And she used to think she was too much. She always thought she was too cute. Like, all of that stuff that don't have nothing to do with anything, it all makes its way into the court of public opinion. I wish that we weren't, because a part of this is fandom, right? A part of this is people just, I'm a fan of this person and I don't like that person. So the minute that person falls off, you running over there to help chip away at their temple or whatever you want to call it, right? You over there to help with the destruction of their character, of whatever they built, of their fan base. And I think it's low rent action, really. I think there is a case that Tiara and I had a part in the early days of cancellations, of online cancellations, but we were right. All these years later, Justice Smollett put that documentary out, and I still don't believe you, Jussie. I still don't believe you. But if Justice Smollett was working in a film or a TV show today or tomorrow, if I like that show, I'm gonna watch it. And I'm not gonna say, oh, y'all shouldn't have had him on there. People did the same thing with Michael Vick. All these years later, people think Michael Vick should not be working. Why? Why? Why should your 20-year-old mistakes, why should things that are culturally accepted in one area and reviled in another, why should that stuff hold you back from being who you are, even a pedophile. They shouldn't make money around kids. They shouldn't be able to teach. They shouldn't be able to mentor young people. We should have our hands on that. But if they want to go into oil fields and get a rig together, go let those people make money. I'm not pro. Once you pay your debt to society, get a job. Be a contributor. So whatever it is, your little demonic thoughts you got in the back of your head, maybe your job will keep your focus off of those thoughts, right? But I just feel like the whole cancel culture thing is really weird to me. Why you feel like you should have a say in somebody being ruined pre-trial? They ain't been arraigned.
Forever. Yeah.
Forever.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But then again, y'all, oh my God, it just brings up so much in me because when it's you, when it's something that affects you, sometimes you just need to feel like, y'all can, I'm gonna put it out there. Just go put it out there. Because I'm always putting everything out there. Listen, this girl that took my sister's lives, I want this bitch to suffer. Like, you know, to me, I have heard so many stories of, well, maybe this will help her get sober and she'll turn her life around. No, I want you to suffer for the rest of your life. Like we are going to suffer too. This is a part of being human, I know. And we all have to come to terms with that. But I'm just saying that sometimes it is a personal thing. Maybe it's something in women that have been sexually abused that now they don't believe anyone. And because maybe they didn't get the justice, they want to see justice done for someone else. I mean, us humans, we are so very complex. There is so many sides to this coin, not just the two. So that's where you have to like really dig into yourself and say, hey, is this just me? Is it something that I need to work on that I can turn around into a positive thing for others? Now, call it name, because sometimes when I say it out loud, I have to pray over myself because that's not my personality. I'm not one of these people who say, let them suffer and let them burn. But at this point, I'm at that point. Let them burn. 3 years? Bitch, you still out here in the streets. I'm still suffering. This is 3rd year for Christmas. So
I like this, Lala. Let's ride on her. Let's ride, Lala.
I'm just saying, I'm ready to call the posse. I mean, it's just, I think that's a lot to do with us, and it also touches human elements. But we definitely have some stats. So I digress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Whenever
6,
you
7,
ready
8,
to
9,
go
10.
to, listen, whenever you ready to ride, we riding with you.
Yeah, we ride at dawn.
Sometimes you got to take matters in your own hands.
Sometimes you do feel like that. I think that sometimes that is what people do. Maybe something did happen to them earlier and they see an opportunity. You see how all of this can go into one bucket. But let's check out these statistics. A recent Forbes report found that entertainers lose on average of 40 to 70% of their brand value after public allegations, even if it's cleared later. Y'all, they didn't even come back. The brands didn't even come back, right? Black male entertainers face disproportionately fast cancellations online, with the 2024, I lost it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Study showing that they trend on negative hashtags 3 times faster than white counterparts. Now, Marlo, you know about these hashtags and these SEOs. So, you know, a lot of these people know how to keep them up with them SEOs going on around. Do you think that that's a problem as well, the way that we see it? Because sometimes we be looking for them hashtags.
I think it is. And I think you tapped into something that was so, I mean, obviously you're talking about your own personal situation, but I think that you tapped into something that's so human where one person has a vendetta or one person was wronged a long time ago. I didn't get the justice that I wanted, but in this moment, right, I'm gonna get the justice that I want. And I think that that's also dangerous. It's very dangerous. It probably feels good, but it is very dangerous, I think, when people jump in, right? So your one beef, your beef with old girl, yeah, that's a real beef. But I think for all of our viewers to take up a beef with that girl is problematic, right? I think for everybody, that's where it gets problematic. That's where the cancellations for me get problematic, because you don't know why that person started that hashtag, right? Kevin Hart might have walked past them 3 years ago and ain't say nothing. Now they mad and they have a moment and they gonna take it out on him, and they have the platform to do so. So I think I'm just always a little wary about that, because I think about my girl Tiara, and when my girl blow up, y'all better not start no damn hashtags, because I ride at noon. Okay,
We gonna
not even
ride.
not dawn. I don't want to wake up that
It's
early.
East Coast.
But
Well, you can tell me what you think about East Coast West after you watch the documentary. We can talk about the start of East and West Coast beef and why we shouldn't have jumped into that.
I
Anyway,
agree. I agree. But then
that was
again,
crazy.
that's all public opinion, because that's what gets the headlines. I cut us off after that last stat, but I do want to finish the stats, and then we're going to move into our final thoughts, because I think it's really important for these stats to be shown today, because we talked about a little bit of everything today. Did I have another one?
Yes, you have a few, but Lala, let me tell you, because this platform now, we can do it for like 10 seconds. So if it goes out, I'm gonna bring it back up. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right.
Be
So there's that.
prepared. Y'all be
Be
ready.
pre- be ready to read quickly. Can y'all read
Read
fast?
quickly. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center reports false accusations are between 2 and 8%, meaning the majority of claims are real.
Mm.
The last two words. However, Pew's research shows 47% of men fear false allegations could ruin their lives, even if it's unproven.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay.
PR agencies cite that public perception can shift in as little as 3 hours after a virtual accusation.
Viral.
But 3 hours? Over 60% of consumers believe brands should cut ties with accused entertainers immediately to appear ethical, but they do. They do very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
They
And
do.
the ones that don't, you see the backlash from the public. Well, such and such didn't back out, so now let's boycott them. It really, y'all, really, where are we in this other than just being a good human? So let us just wind this down. We appreciate everybody's comments. We got so many comments, but let's do our final thoughts. Marlo, I'm going to start with you. Your final thoughts on this, and where can we find you?
my final thought is, be careful out there. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. Take care of yourself. Protect yourself. And don't just read the headline. Go ahead and click that story or search those people involved, so that you can get an understanding of it yourself. Because the comments, I love a good cackle gallery in the comments. It makes my heart smile. But sometimes we're doing more damage than good. So let's try to be good citizens. Let's try to be good people. And let's try to use discernment, especially when we're talking about things of life and death, where people could go to jail, lose their livelihoods, potentially can't take care of their kids. And that ends up being a societal issue. If you're looking for me, you can come and hang out with me on Instagram. That's my handle right there on the screen. And that's it. I ain't talking nothing, y'all. It's a cold Monday. I just want to get under a blanket again. I guess I'm gonna watch it for
Yes.
Tiara's sake.
Baby, I got a pot of chili waiting on me. Tiara, what is your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
Y'all, it's been a lot of things. I initially wanted to have this conversation because I wanted to make sure that we're always having conversations that are interesting, obviously, but looking at both sides of the coin always. Looking at different perspectives. It's so easy, especially in today's world, to get locked in on a perspective and be like, no, this is the only way. This is the only way you think. And you see it. And people in the comments going, well, I don't feel that way, so I'm going to block you. It's like we can't even bring up and have diverse conversations anymore without people being offended, or it feeling, it just feeling offensive, and everybody's so sensitive. So I just wanted to have this conversation. So I thank you all for joining us and kind of just going through this process with us and just talking through it with us, because I think it's always beneficial to have a conversation as a collective. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Karma J, or Miss Black Hollywood, depending on the day. But on Thursday, I am in full, well, all week I'm in full Karma J mode, y'all. I have a listening party happening on Thursday. We are going to be in Inglewood, California at the Tribe at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. PST. So if you're in California, come through. In LA specifically, you can come through. It's free. Just tell them, tell them that, B1 is in the house. So if you're interested, come on through. Again, We are doing a also doing a toy drive. If you want information, you can go to karmaj.com, y'all. But if you bring a toy, you can get it for free, but you can get it for free anyway because you know me. But yes, so bring a toy because we're doing a kids drive in conjunction with that. So I can't wait to
I
see you on
love
Thursday.
that. I love that. Please, please, please. I got a lot of people who watch me on my page. Most of my people are in LA. Please go. Please go and support because it's going to be a fabulous show. And you're going to be helping our little babies out there during this Christmas time. They want to see Santa. Let's help them see
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
And here's my final thoughts. Headlines are great. Sometimes I love going down a rabbit hole, but let's also remember that there are real humans behind this and people's lives are being affected around this. So before you judge, make sure that you are judging appropriately in the fact that you know all the facts. And if you don't know all the facts, baby, that's none of your business. As long as it's not hurting you, hurting children, hurting elderly, you need to leave it alone. That's not your worry. You worry about what's in your closet before you worry about somebody else's, and just be kind. You can find me at laurakey.net. I have a lot of great resources there for moving abroad. I am back to talking to you about that because there is a lot of things going on in our country. You do not have to stay there if you don't want to. And I will be having a class on teaching you how to do that in January. So go ahead, sign up for my newsletter at that website and get in on that to see if this is something for you. Listen, we have really had a great conversation today. And you know what I love about being with my girlfriends and being with my queens is this is a place that we can freely discuss things that are personal with us as well as what's going on in the headlines. That goes to show you that this is a real life thing. We all are going through something, but accusations means accountability. And a lot of times that and money are still all tied together in today's world. One statement, one headline, one allegation, it can change absolutely everything. But building healthier work environments, being more smarter, we learned some new things today, cannot happen if men are actually afraid to collaborate with women and women are afraid and feel like they're being punished for speaking out. Where is the balance? The real life answer is balance, safety and fairness, truth, transparency, because no one should lose millions unjustly and no woman should lose her voice. So we thank you to our amazing panel and for all of you out there. You know we love you. You know you can catch us every day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Real Black Lexicon. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you, Walterine and Deborah, Dr. Vibe. We had so many here today. Again, you always are so dedicated to us, and we love you for it. And we will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace out. Be blessed. Merry Christmas.